Sanibonani babukeli sesifikile thina nentandokazi yohlelo lwenu Yilungelo Lakho, it's your right. Sindlethela lona khona la kumamba phambili phela SABC 1 umzansi for sure. Uyazi ke uMangcolosi, the beautiful one, Miss Charlie is officially in the SABC building khona la Auckland Park. Ngithi molweni bethuna 0117146919 7146918. Those are the magic numbers ukuthi usithinte la e-studio or consumer@sabc.za uma usifuna phela lapha kwi-email. Ungasithola futhi on social media ubheke nje igama elithi Yilungelo Lakho. Mbukeli, they are often the first to arrive at an accident scene, promising swift assistance. But of course, if you have unwittingly consented to have your vehicle towed away by Vulture Tow truckers, yazi ungazithola usuyisola ngempela.
Uqhamuka omunye ubaba nje, omunye ubaba weNdiya asho ukuthi ena imoto ukuze ngikwazi ukuyidedela ukuthi bakwazi ukunginika imoto yekamamtha ma F2 khokho 6,000.
That's the first time when Clint told me, listen, we sold your car already in January.
Yena usenza sefese ngathi uthunywe yilaba kanti uyazi ukuthi make wasuka la ila imoto eseyithole khona.
I'm no longer going to pay for this vehicle because now the guys have admitted that they sold the vehicle to a third party.
Hayi kunzima ngempela mbukeli, uma phela usengozini yemoto okusemqoka kakhulu okufunayo yilolo sizi labadonsa izimoto phecelezi ama-tow truck drivers. Kodwa ke uma unebhadi noma ishwa lokuthi uvume ukusizwa izigebengu, ungazithola phela usulahlekelwe imoto yakho, imali yakho kanye ne-peace of mind, ukuthula. Ake sizwe nalo udaba labashayeli baseGoli abazithola bedlelwe imoto nezimali ezishisiwe.
Ukuthi nje sahambe singakaweli just nje about 5 kilometers singakaweli uMashu highway, imoto sidla sebeyithatha beyisa eThekwini, ingeni call ithi how lowe breakdown uthi akaniboni la othi kwenzeke khona ingozi. Ithi mina how nje ufikile lo uthi owaka breakdown, so agent ichaza ithi since because akusiye lo waka othunywa momentum la sisebenzisana naye.
Ebona ukuba ungenile emgibeni ukhawuleze wazisa uyise kunye neinsurance ngalengxaki.
Mase beyakhuluma naye ubaba kube nokuzwana kwistory ukuthi imoto shuthi izokhandwa ayibona ngeke isakhandwa insurance kwa around like 24,000 kanjalo. So nangempela momentum bafike bayi-assess imoto banginikwe u24,000 nangempela ngudlulisele kulabo u20,000 ngaba nenhlanhla kanjalo.
Kanti ke umsebenzi kwijelo losasazo eGauteng uVincent Mufokeng khange abenalo elothamsanqa likambatha. Kokwesibini lenkqubo ilusasaza udabi lwakhe nabatsali zithuthi abamthimbela imoto yakhe ngondlela mnyama.
So I got involved in a car accident in 2017 where this company was on the scene to tow my vehicle for me to one of their storage yards. I went to view the car the following day after the accident, and that was the last time I basically saw my vehicle.
Emva kokonyuswa esohliswa yile nkampani kwathi kanti isithuthi sakhe asikho kwezindawo ibimthumela kuzo. Wayofumanisa ukuba lo moto yathengiswayo. Phofu ngezizathu angazaziyo kuba ebesele eyihlawule yonke imali yabo. Yona ke ibhanki imile kwelithi ifuna imali yayo apha. Wayazisa ke phofu ukuba imoto yathinjwa yaze yathengiswa.
So the bank sent me a shortfall that I'm still paying for presently. I'm still paying for the shortfall because the contract is between me and the bank. That's what they told me.
Kubonakala ngathi ezizitsali zithuthi nesezaziwa njenge-vultures ziyaqhubeka ukuxhaphaza amaxhoba mihlale. Umbuzo kwabaninzi ngowokuba basithatha phi na isibindi sokuqhubeka ngolwaphulo-mthetho.
All I want is justice right now.
Papa Madube, Yilungelo Lakho.
Sibonga kakhulu ngalo mbiko ku Miss Papa Madube and manje mbukela ukukhuluma kabanzi phela ngalomkhuba wabanye balama tow trucks namalungelo akho phela njengomshayeli osengozini. Let's welcome ubaba uBrian Ndlovu okhulumela abe National African Towing Association. Exhumana nathi ngoZoom sinaye futhi uMiss Althea yena ke ongummeli. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. Althea, we'll start with you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone in Excel. Lovely to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to try and educate the people out there in terms of what happens at the scene of an accident, but also just to let them know what the next steps are. And there's some important information, so I'm so glad for this platform. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Althea. Don't worry. We've got almost a whole hour to go through all the processes and all the do's and don'ts when you are involved, unfortunately, Mbugeli, in a car accident. Okay, but Brian, kunjani baba, siyakwamukela ohlelweni. Thank you so much for joining us. Osichazele nje babona Brian. Nenzani lapha National African Tow Truckers Association?
Angibingelele nonke lapha e-studio nababukeli emakhaya. Ngiyabonga lethuba leli ningiphe lona. African National Towing Association into esiyenzayo ukuthi siya educator basically umphakathi esebenzela kuona abadonsi, which means ama-member wethu as the African National Towing Association kulomkhakha in terms of education, customer service, nempatho nje abantu in general above umsebenzi wokumoto but to educate kakhulu into esithanda ukuyenza ukwazisa abadonsi bona themselves amalungelo wabo as ama service provider with different industries such as insurance, private sector, nomphakathi.
All right. Yeah, but Brian, go ahead.
Bebesafuna ukuthi phezu kwaloko siphinda sithanda uku-educator umphakathi wethu in terms of ama-rights abanawo and the service available from abadonsi bethu.
Okay. All right, but Brian, I mean, sibonile lapha ku-Insight insizwa. I'm sure now ubonile ukuthi i-case study yethu yokuqala imoto yakhe yathowa abantu kwisini bethi ba-represent insurance of which athola ukuthi after a while kahle lo muntu lo obethi we-representative ye-insurance yakhe akuwona kahle iqiniso le akulona iqiniso ubekhuluma amanga kahle the actual insurer approved tow truck driver was at the scene looking for the car, and in the second case study bamnikeza false information kanti imoto yakhe bagcine sebeyidayisa. Uthini wena nsizwa ngalezi igameko ezehlela abantu?
Lezo igameko lezo usuke kubhlungu kakhulu ukuzwa into efana nale evelela athini. Mina ngokulandela umthetho akuvumelekile ukuthi kwenzeke kanjalo. Nathi ngomkhakha wama breakdown akuyona into esivumayo ukuthi ama-member wethu or abadonsi general industry imbala ukuthi leyo mpatho ebantwini because it yona it really iyadamage image ye towing as an industry. Kwaloko isuke imoshe vele nasemakhaya umphakathi awusasithembi mase manje yavela nala ku TV njalo. These are things eziletha i-reputation yethu into disrepute singibeke kanjalo. Akuvumelekile ukuthi izinto ezifana nalezi zenzeke. As the association sinemgomo yempandela esilandelayo guidelines ngokubeka ngesingisi. Sinama guidelines sinama i-code of conduct for member wethu. Nalaba under ama-association khona ama-guidelines ababa-regulatayo because i-industry is unregulated by the government. Ama-association yila angena khona ukuthi azame ukufaka leyo regulation leyo standard regulation ukuthi ivikela umphakathi in a general sense, nabo abadonsi themselves abazonikezana ngalo sizo lolo babe protected in a way ukuba they should never find themselves on the wrong side of the law.
Okay. All right, Althea, maybe let's find out from you. I also want to get your comment on our insert there. I mean, we saw two very different case studies. The first one, the car got towed by one tow truck driver who was misrepresenting, representing himself as being the insurer approved. Meanwhile, he actually was not. And the second one, the guy was given false information, and in actual retrospect, his vehicle was actually sold without his knowledge. I mean, Brian has just made a very interesting point here. He says the industry is largely unregulated. Isn't this a bit concerning?
I concur with that. From experience, I've seen that they are not regulated. And the concern is that these smaller towing companies, especially as you mentioned in the first instance, or the first example, was that small towing company or small tow truck driver, he has no rules by which he abides by. So he's doing his own thing. He's understanding that this is a money-making, if we may put it, and he goes forward and takes the vehicle, sometimes misrepresents the actual owner of the vehicle.
Althea, can you please, Althea, if you can hear me, can you please just lower the volume of your TV set? I'm struggling to hear you.
I'm so sorry. I have no TV set on. I'll make the volumes little. Is that a bit better?
Please turn it off completely, Althea.
No, I have no TV set on.
All right, there's something making a terrible noise. All right, we'll try and fix that with our technicians. I'll get back to you in a moment, Althea. Let me just go back to Brian. Brian, I mean, in the event yokuthi ke usuyithola usengozini, awusitshele baba mhlambe iziphi izinto okumele uyiqaphele, because sihlala sibona I've been in an accident and uthi ithi yenzeke accident nazi lezi imoto even 4 at a time seyifile lapha seyifikile sebeyakhuluma all at once sebefuna ukuthi nje bonke bathatha iphathi kulento eyenzakalayo, because obviously for bona it's about imali at the end of the day.
100%. Ngiyabonga kuloko. Engathanda ukusho what happened.
All right, okay, Mbukeli, it seems like siyastruglisha ngempela nge-audio yethu namhlanje. Ithi ke sithathe ikhefu khona sobona ukuthi singayilungisa yini leyo nto. Ukhumbule 011-714-6918, 714-6919. Those are the magic numbers to dial ukuthi wena ke usitshele ukuthi wena ngabe bakwenzeni uma uyithola usengozini yemoto ama-tow truck drivers. And remember, asisho ukuthi wonke lama tow truck drivers ba-dubious. Khona abanye abenza umsebenzi ngendlela esile. Siyabuya emva kwaleli khefu Mbukeli, Yilungelo Lakho, back shortly after this. Welcome back in Zethu. They are wide open. 011-714-6918. Alternatively, 714-6919. consumer@sabc.co.za. Uma wena ufuna ukuba sophisticated, usisendele an email. And of course, ungasithola lapha go Facebook as well as amanye ama social media platforms. Ubheke nje igama elithi Yilungelo Lakho. My guest today, Babukeli, Brian Ndlovu, we-National African Towers Association, alongside Miss Althea Carls, who's an attorney. Mbukeli basitshela ngokuthi uma wena uyithola usengozini yemoto sekufika labantu abaningi bama-tow truck drivers abazokuthi bakuconfuse kanti abanye abenza umsebenzi ngendlela ekumele bawenze ngayo. Iziphi izinto ekumele uyiqaphele? So Brian, just before sidistebheka lapha baba, bengisakubuza ukuthi iziphi izinto abantu ekumele bayiqaphele ngoba phela usuke nawe uthukile uku-accident scene, buqhamuka ama-tow truck companies mhlampe awu-4 noma awu-5, wonke umuntu useyakhuluma all at once, awusazi ukuthi uthini, kodwa nemoto kumele isuswe phela emgaqweni.
Enjalo, thank you for that. Engayisho ukuba kumele ukucheck ukuthi akekho umuntu olimele. If there's any serious injuries, if they are, the services are ready to come through. bazohlola abantu. And then from there umshayeli wemoto need to make sure ukuthi kulama tow truck driver la alapho on scene akhona uku-identifya ukuthi ubani ofike kuqala kuleyo scene leyo. Identify ukuthi ubani ofike kuqala because as ukhakha sinathi first come first serve, so ukuthi umshayeli angabi bombarded by abantu abaningi abafika kuleyo scene leyo. Makhona nomuntu oyi company umshayeli lo waleyo breakdown leyo akebe umuntu o-identifiable ngindlela zokuthi either une-uniform imoto ayishayelayo imoto i-breakdown yakhe ayibe ne-branding so that uzokhona umshayeli waleyo moto elimele azokhona uku-identify bomlisa or umuntu wesimame ku-breakdown akhuluma naye uvela kweyiphi ikhampani akwazi uku-identifya ikhampani yakhona must have i-number on i-branding yabo so sizokhona ukuthi obani. Phezu kwaloko if lo mshayeli une-insurance akabe nesiqiniseko umshayeli afonile i-insurance yakhe abatshele ukuthi kuveleni leyo ngozi akuyo location yakhe nokuthi yiphi i-towing efikile ukuthi izomnceda.
Okay.
Ngaleyo ndlela leyo there's a track record because should kube ne-authorization abayigrant leyo i-authorization iphinde ithunyelwe futhi so i-reference enginayo as i-client or as umuntu ovelelwe leyo ngozi leyo kumele imatch nale enginayo from insurance yami kuba nesiqiniseko ukuthi all of this mabathi ku-authorized kuye endaweni e-right. Ukwazi imoto yaphi umdonsi wemoto uzoyidonsela kuphi abe ne-checklist ayifile in ayigcwalise ngemininingwane yecustomer. I-customer kumele libe present ukubona ukuthi le mininingwane efakwa la nala kuthiwa imoto ziyakhona does it correspond ukuthi imoto uma singatho siyafuna for a month akwaziwa ukuthi imoto iyephi.
Okay.
So that nakhona abazwana ngayo must be noted. Kumele ibhalwe phansi kuleyo sheet leyo or le invoice azomnikeza yona lo muntu ozomnceda from i-service correspond nale atshelwe insurance yakhe ukuthi faces the insurance won't really tell you ukuthi bakhokha malini for leyo service leyo, but if it's a private one ayibhalwe phansi i-confirm kube into ukuthi sivumelane ngayo kungabi agreed sasa moso yofuna imoto yakho ucingana nemoto yakho so utshelwa nge-amount different from what you agreed on site.
Okay. All right, ngiyabonga but Brian. Maybe let me check in with Althea there. Althea, I hope all is well now in terms of your audio. But Althea, let's backtrack a little bit with you. I mean, is it even possible to sell a car that still owes the bank? And can tow truck companies, do they possess that right to sell your vehicle without following the proper steps, as in they have notified you, given you all the relevant information? And in the second case, Vincent opened a case of theft and fraud and also alerted the bank that had financed his car. Is it then fair for the bank to insist that he pays for the car that is obviously not in his possession and it's not because of his own mistakes?
There's so many things at play there, but I think let me address the first question there. Can a tow truck company sell a vehicle that belongs to another? That is incorrect. Nobody can transfer more rights to something than they themselves have. So the owner holds the vehicle. It is his vehicle. He is the only one who can transfer ownership of that vehicle. So perhaps, I'm so sorry, so perhaps possession might be transferred from one to another. And I would say in some cases unlawful possession in the case where towing companies unlawfully take the vehicle from the scene of the accident where they haven't obtained consent to take the vehicle away. And then just to address the issue of a person in a situation where he still has a finance agreement that he has to pay, and he feels that he shouldn't be paying it because he no longer holds the vehicle. He doesn't have possession of the vehicle. So the issue here is that there's an agreement between the person and the bank,
yes,
that the bank is extending a loan to the person and he needs to pay that loan off. And then there's the issue of the title holder or the owner of the vehicle. So what happens in the instance of an installment sale agreement or hire purchase agreement is that the bank says, I will put this VW in my name, but I'm allowing you to use the vehicle for the term within which you pay that the installments off. And at the end of the term, when you pay the last installment, that vehicle then becomes yours. So in other words, that vehicle still belongs to the bank until that last installment is paid.
Unfortunately. All right, Althea, let's leave it there for now. We're going to continue with this discussion in Mbugeli shortly after this break. 011-714-6918, 714-6919. Consumer at sabc.co.za, of course, is our email address. It's Khona futhi on our social media platforms. We're back shortly after this. Ungayindawo. Nginotiko losho abadlala ngesound yami la e-studio namhlanje ngeke kodwa ke sesizamela ama-technicians ukuthi azame ukusilungisela i-audio lapha. Ngihleli no Brian Ndlovu we-National African Tow Truckers Association alongside Miss Althea Carls, yena ke who's an attorney. Mbukeli, namhlanje ke sikhuluma ngokuthi yini ongayenza, izinto ekumele uyiqaphele uma phela uyithola usengozini yemoto, uthola ukuthi nanka ama-tow truck drivers avanafike kwisini babe maningi, ungayitholi phela nawe usulahlekelwa imali kanye nemoto yakho njengoba sibonile lapha ku-insert. Ungasifonela e-studio, ingcingo ivuliwe, and usendele some of ama comments la ku-Facebook. Let me quickly take some of your comments on Facebook. Uthemba Zizijama uthi, those vultures are so cruel. Imagine paying 7,500 rand for less than a kilometer, while Umpo Mama's boy Mofokeng, well, uyasincoma uthi, this show must replace soapies ntambama yazi. I hope abantu balalele. Put Brian uyasho lana ubaba uThemba Jama uthi those vultures uthi ukhokhe 7,500 for less than kilometer. Is that even legal baba? Kanti lama price niwasetha kanjani ukuthi i-distance nemali ikhokhwa kanjani?
Indaba yama-rate ngesuka i-10 type of service oyitholayo. Accident tow wona abantu ba between anything from 3.5 all within the radius of 40 kilometers. Ngikhuluma nge-round trip ubuya nokubuya from leyo mali leyo. Nakhona it varies ngoba angithi manje abantu ungathola ukuthi umuntu either it's insured or uninsured. So i-pricing is important, balekile ukuthi i-pricing enivumelana ngayo into ebhaliwe kule tow slip. Kune tow slip, you must kumele uzelele indabeni ukuthi uthole i-tow slip from leyo service provider lo mdonso wemoto akunikeze i-tow slip ebhaliwe i-price enizovumelana ngayo, because ngithanda ukucabanga ukuthi mangena kuleyo nkulumo ye-pricing niyavumelana before umuntu angama-chain adonsa imoto yakho. So from that kumele imoto isuke ningakazwani, ningakabhali phansi, i-client ingakayisayineli leyo service neprice yakhona, ukusho ukuthi uvumile kuleyo pricing anikezwe yona. So it's very
okay. Now, all right. Now, Althea, legally, I mean, we're still on this with you because I really want to get this out of the way. I mean, our case studies there, it looks like they really went through a tough time. Now, legally, in a case where an unsuspecting a motorist has actually been taken advantage of and has allowed these dubious tow truckers to actually tow their car under false pretenses, of course, is an insurance then obliged to intervene in order to recover that client's stolen car? Or what can the insurer do?
Yes, Yes, and I want to be an advocate at this point for people taking up insurance, because that is such an indispensable service that an insurance company renders, and they get onto the matter immediately, and they contact the tow truck driver and try to get the vehicle back as soon as possible, so that they can then either assess the vehicle and see whether it needs to be repaired or it needs to be written off and the insured indemnified. So yes, unfortunately, that is what. It's such a sad situation, but I would say rather don't find yourself on the road without insurance, because that is the time when the insurance company will speak to the tow truck drivers, and in some instances they have relationships with certain bigger towing companies where they can speak to them and try to get the vehicle back and have the cost as low as possible. And it's sad to hear about the situation of a person being towed for 1 kilometer and having to pay 7,500. And I just want to step in here and say, really, this industry needs to be regulated, because that is unfair practices towards consumers. That's unacceptable.
Absolutely, Althea, but where do we start now campaigning for this regulation and legislation? Because Brian says there is some form of legislation or regulation, but it's through the different bodies like they have, UTASA. But I mean, if government is not doing anything, I mean, how can we then win the fight against this?
I think that there are two things there at play. The first thing is that, yes, government takes its time in getting, acts promulgated, etc. But the other thing is trying to get all these various towing companies, big and small, all their hands to lock together and try to work together and try to get a framework of some reasonable amounts that need to be charged to the consumers who need to have their vehicles towed.
All right. And in terms of the Consumer Protection Act, how are then consumers protected by the CPA, Althea, when it comes to dubious tow truck drivers? Because, and I think we also need to acknowledge the fact that it's not all tow truck companies that are actually operating under dubious means.
Indeed, yes, and that's one of the things that the Consumer Protection Act offers, is to protect the consumer. And I mean, this is one of those areas where they really need to be protected in the highest and in the best way. Because if you think about it, a person whose vehicle is being towed, and especially so if he's in an accident, he's in a distressed state of mind. So he really needs to know that his rights are protected. We need to look at a situation where if his vehicle is in an accident, he's already having to worry about how that vehicle will be repaired. So he's looking at costs that he needs to fork out for that. Then on top of that, and that is where the unreasonableness comes in, where the term vulture, well, it really does describe the situation, because the tow truck driver will then basically prey upon somebody who's been in such an unfortunate situation and take control of this vehicle, and even sometimes misrepresent who they are. They would say that they're from the insurance company when they're not, or else they just give false information in order to acquire possession of that vehicle, and that is where everything starts going wrong.
Very interesting indeed. Mbukela ukuthi uzothi wena ubhizi lapha kwi-accident scene unake ukuthi imoto yakho iyathathwa iyathowa. Sekumele manje uphinde futhi ube extra aware of the fact that izofika lamanqa afuna ukuthi athathe imoto yakhe ayithowe kanti bafuna ukuyidayisa. No, you need to be really, really careful. Mbukela ingcingo zethu ivuliwe. We're back shortly after this. Ungayindawo. We're talking about those unscrupulous and dubious tow truck drivers. Asisho ukuthi all tow truck companies enza lo msebenzi in dubious means. Khona labo bakithi abenza umsebenzi oncomekayo, and siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi there are those that are still doing a great job and are not conning the already, of course, aggrieved consumers. My guest today, Brian Ndlovu from the National African Tow Truckers Association, alongside Miss Althea Carls, who's an attorney attorney, and she also is giving us the information ukuthi kahle kahle yena iziphi izinto azibonile njengoba esebenza kule industry. Ungasithinta la studio 0117146918 or 71469119 ukuthi usitshele ukuthi wena bakwenzeni. All right, but Brian, ake sikhulumeke mnsizwa ngokuthi nangu-ke umuntu usayithola usenkingeni nikhuluma ngokuthi aninayo irregulation, there is somewhat of irregulation because nina as a body hlampa ama-members wenu nina you can call them into account, but laba-ke that are not obviously members zenu badisciplinwa kuphi? Kumele umuntu enze njani i-consumer eyithola ukuthi hlampa isithathelwe imoto noma bathatha imoto bayam-overcharger? All these problems ekade sikhuluma ngazo namhlanje, where do they get i-recourse?
Thank you for that. Ngithanda legama lela ka-dubious leli. Ngoba vele khona kule industry yethu. And kuyishwa ukuthi o-dubious laba they run around posing obviously as legitimate service providers for insurances, call centers, ngoba ama-call center la anokunceda ama-consumer around the indaba ze-towing and roadside assistance. I-recourse, unfortunately, from this point is very complicated. Ngayibeka kanjalo ukuthi kunzimanyana when it comes to abo-dubious, because lapho sokusuka kuyindaba ama-civil cases need to then come into place. I-Consumer Protection Act, thina nge-organization inhlangano yama-breakdown siyazama ukuthi sizama ukulekelela ama-consumer in trying to repatriate ama-valuables imoto zabo in the way kanjani, in an amicable way, ukhulumisa abo-dubious in terms of ukuzama ukuguide i-process yabo in terms of the way kuchargwe ngakhona, negotiations around that, not the consumer. And as an association, we never turn around and turn away consumers. We try and resolve some of these issues. But we really rely on the law taking its course. The paperwork now is very important in terms of lento ozo isainela. So it's important to keep the public njalo be aware of into abayisayinelayo imininingwane egcwaliswe lapho in terms of pricing, in terms of ukuthi imoto yaphi, so that now umthetho should case ivulwa able to trace ukuthi o-dubious laba bayisa imoto kuphi, ba-operator from kuphi, in-number yase-office ithini if ikhona i-office, registration number yemoto edonse imoto yakho from the scene of the accident ithini, and then from there sesizodependa kakhulu on the law taking its course in terms of lo lokusithiwa u-dubious angaveli insurance lento benivumelane ngayo from the scene akuyona, i-paperwork yakhe injani, and then the law itself then intervene masekunjalo. From an association point, we really got our hands tied from independent towers nabakhona vele abayenza as and what they will on the road, which we don't have really control over lawo ma-character lawo. But for those that are under associations yakhona ukubatracer ngoba vele abantu aba-registered ngaphansi kwenhlangano yethu siyazi ukuthi imoto zabo, and they are basically governed to put the customer first and comply regarding consumer protection. So ukuthi singayitholi sesiku-situation where we are either anti-competitive or monopolizing the industry in a certain way. So we got those tools and mechanisms in place to try and assist.
Okay. All right. Althea, I mean, back to the Consumer Protection Act. I mean, I've just asked Brian there if there's any, of course, means for the consumer to get recourse after they find themselves to be the victim of these dubious tow truck drivers. And he's saying pretty much not anything can be done unless, of course, unless, of course, the tow truck drivers belong to an association or organization that is registered like UTASA. But what could possibly be an alternative dispute resolution for those that, of course, now have fallen victim to the dubious means of tow truck drivers? Can they go to the police station and lay a case there? Which ombudsman can they go to? What can they do?
No, I think for the uninsured person that's out there, the key thing is that time is of the essence. So once they know that their vehicle is somewhere, they need to communicate with the towing company and try to get the vehicle back as soon as possible. And the key word here is also negotiate. Negotiate with the towing company, because they don't have any hard and fast rules or anything that's on paper to say you have to pay a particular call-out fee, you have to pay a particular administration fee. So they are wanting to get something out as well as you wanting to get your vehicle back. So time is of the essence, it's the key. For the insured persons, I believe that, they can just really sit back and relax while the insurance company takes care of everything for them. They will undertake that, the negotiation, etc. But I just want to take one step back, and I want to say prevention is key. Prevention is key. So try not to be driving a vehicle on South African roads without insurance. That's the best thing that you can do, because at least with the insurance companies, they are able then to take care of matters for you when you don't have to worry about that, because it's just an unfortunate situation. You don't want to be in such a terrible situation when this type of thing happens to you, because it's already a bad situation as it is, and it just escalates even further. And I just want to pose this question to Brian, and I don't know whether he is able to speak in English, but can you just give us some kind of idea? I speak on behalf of consumers, and I want to get some kind of idea of, in terms of, what are the steps that they are currently taking in terms of trying to regulate and get all the chicks under one end, if I can put it that way.
Absolutely. That was actually where I was going out there. Thank you so much. Mbukeli, let's take another quick ad break. Welcome back as Kubegeke and Ngohlelo. This is our final segment. I do have Pusaletso on the line all the way from Pretoria. Pusaletso, thank you so much for staying on the line. Singakusiza kanjani today?
Yeah, listen, man, something.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's very important. That thing happened to me on 2019 when I was involved in an accident, and then the person who bumped at me, like, insurance yakhe ithi bathe kumbathi mabathatha imoto lezi iziwuthonje, so that because they saw where he was wrong, and then but started iziwutho of which a certain company, I don't know, should I mention names?
No, ungalisho igama baba.
Okay, yeah, so bathatha imoto yami nale client yabo le insurance. Okay. Bayifaka kwi-storage sabo, of which mabangitshela, they didn't tell me ukuthi if I sign that paper, mina ngizoba accountable for everything that is there. Bangitshela ukuthi insurance yayakhile ukuthi zonke, and then mina the only thing that I must sign for is that invoice. Abangitshela ngama terms and conditions that are at the back.
Pusaletso, when ubone insurance wena?
No, I didn't have insurance that time. Insurance le phone yamuntu lo ngungijayisile.
Oh, okay. All right. Qhubeka ke baba. Okay, so bakutshele ukuthi babakutshelanga ukuthi uzoba liable for ama towing costs ne storage, okay?
Yeah. They just said no, they'll fix my car, like they sort out everything. On the scene, that's what they told me.
Okay.
Because of to someone from the his insurance.
Okay, and then what happened?
So imoto my fear ngale management check, I think it was Friday. When I got there on Monday, they were telling me, no, now I owe them a certain amount, I think 10,000 something that I owe them. Of which on Saturday, Sunday, they don't open their storage. they started telling me the stories, and then I wanted to get to buy my card out. Like, what is that that I was supposed to do? Because more than me, since I came up on an apple, but you never collect Alabama. I was a cool man insurance
Yeah, so let's wrap it up. I want to understand, Uguti, as of now, what happened?
Like, because those guys, they end up watching my a certain amount. It was too much. I was like, no, guys, I'm tired. Can take that car.
And then, okay, all right. Ngiyakuzwa Puseletso. All right, just ngicela ubukele lapho on the line. Maybe ama-producers wethu can get hold of your numbers, and then mhlawumbe uzokhona ukuthi ukhulume noBut Brian, because mhlawumbe labo bantu are registered mhlawumbe ne-UTASA bangakhona uBut Brian ukuthi bakusize. Okay, But Brian, uyamuzwa la uPuseletso ukuthi inkinga yakhe yini. I mean, bamtshela ukuthi he was owing over 10K and the storage besivalile over the weekend. Kodwa he was not even made aware ukuthi lama charges as again, because he was actually told ukuthi by the third party, the guy that bumped him, ibona abathe bazothowa imoto yakhe and the client yabo bayithathe bayifaka kwi storage by panel beat.
Yeah, no, that bona kuvamise ukuthi abathonsi in most cases will either take what the third party is saying, ukuthi mawuthi third party khona, third party is our counter for ama damages walo muntu loyo. And then abadonsi bona bazothatha that word for it. Which bona ngomthetho bekumele, if there's such an agreement from a third party insurance or whatever the case might be, there must be confirmation from that insurance stating such. So and there must be either an SMS that's sent on site or on scene the particular accident. Ngoba siyazi ukuthi kungenzeka kusasa naleyo insurance le ingasafuni ukulandela leyo process ukuthi nasivumelanga ukuthi leyo moto iye kulelo jared laleyo tour ebekhona on site besingaphikera ukuthi imoto izokhona ukwaseswa yithi for the damages before ama repairs can be carried out. So hiyo uButi did mention in the ukuthi kule paper signile he was then held liable.
Yes.
For which in most cases is the case. That's why bengigcizelela indaba yokuthi into ozoyisayina iba nesiqiniseko ukuthi uyicheckisisile, wayicheckisisa, wayiphendula ngalo page lelo, because esikhathini esiningi ngibuyele futhi ko dubious esikhathini esiningi ama terms and conditions asuka adinga i-magnifying glass emva kwe towing slip. So kubalekile ukuthi umuntu abheke ama terms and conditions la sign khona athene over apha ku page abheke emuva ukuthi ubhalweni, because you find ukuthi izinto sibhaliwe in small print and then kubuye in a legal term uyisayinele ngempela leyo 10,000 leyo beyikhona kulelo page olisayinile. So kubalekile ukuthi umuntu afuna off imoto yakhe ayenze wonke lama checks and balances engikhulume ngawo ukuthi umuntu othunyelwe lapho kuleyo scene umuntu ofike kuqala, because normally in normal cases when motor truckers will be first on scene before anyone else.
All right. Okay,
Brian.
Okay, Brian. Let me just quickly hear from Althea in terms of the legal aspect. Althea, our caller there, Puseletso, says, of course, he was in an accident in 2019. He wasn't insured, but now the third party, or well, the person that bumped into him, they called the insurance and they promised him that the towing, the storage and panel beating was going to be taken care of. But to his surprise, when he went to the storage facility of the towing company, they told him he was owing more than 10K. Until this day, he has not received his car. So what can he do since there is no legislation at this point?
My. By this time, I'm sure those fees have skyrocketed to possibly $500,000. If I have changed, I think I'm exaggerating, but The most important thing there is that the caller, obviously the vehicle is in his name, so it still belongs to him, and he needs to find out the whereabouts of that vehicle, if it is still with the towing company. If it's been sold onwards, unfortunately, they can't transfer that vehicle. That vehicle will still be on his name, even if it's on the road being driven by somebody else. So he needs to get to the bottom of it. And again, I say, please, to all the others that are listening to this, please don't wait until... He says the accident happened in 2019. You can't wait that long. Each and every single day, there are storage costs that are being charged by the towing company. There is security costs that are being charged. There are also administrative fees and other fees that they add on that to get to a humongous claim that they have against the other party. So I suggest to the caller that he get in touch with the panel, with the towing company, and find out the whereabouts of the vehicle and negotiate and try to get his vehicle back, or else find out where the vehicle is.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much to Althea. And of course, Ubaba Brian Ndlovu. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. Let me thank my studio guest, my guest on Zoom once again. Ubaba Brian Ndlovu, we're National African Tow Truckers Association, alongside Althea Carls, who's an attorney. Osebenza ngawo la macala mbukeli uyezwa ukuthi siyagcizelela lokhu ukuthi you need to be aware of ukuthi you can negotiate nalabantu abeza bazothowa imoto on site. And you must make sure ukuthi i-price ebhalwe lapho nawe uyavumelana nayo, especially laba abengenayo i-insurance, because laba banga-inflate i-price yaleyo towing fee noma lokhuzana nama-storage facilities. But sizozama ukuthi bakithi sinilethele more on this topic. Naba abanye, just to go out with these quick comments here. Uhloni Masuguti, do not sign anything unless you have read through all documentation. If the tow operator insists, make sure that it is only an authorization to tow the vehicle. Always agree in writing on towing charges before your vehicle is towed, or you might be in for an unpleasant surprise. Remove all valuables from the vehicle before it is towed away for repairs. And of course, abanye abantu ke basibonga lapha uthi udinga omunye uthi they registered to work in their hometown. All right, this one is too long, we can't take. Ubona lady uthi my mom still talks about her 2008 experience with these vultures. Can't remember the story clearly, but her car was sold later. So ziyenzeka lezi zinto babukeli, kumele ngempela niqaphele, ningathi ngoba nithukile nivane ntikike nisayine yonke into because labantu bazonithathela imoto or imali. Nisale kahle umajali umthanda nonke emakhaya.
Yilungelo Lakho.